Hey, Sorrow, I heard that you quit your job at the company and are now proudly unemployed.
Huh? What is it, Aunt? Hold on. Who said I was unemployed? I got permission from Mom and I work part-time to help out the two of us at home. Also, I don't use that much money myself anyway, so I'm pretty sure I'm not being a burden.
Calm down, Sorrow, I was just joking. You want to become a comic book writer in the future, which is why you quit your full-time job, right?
Yeah, what's so bad about it? You make fun of me wanting to be a comic book writer, but I even have an editor, you know?
Yeah, I'm not making fun of you, Sorrow, I'm just kidding. I, for one, support you chasing your dreams.
Are you sure about that?
You're so serious, Sorrow, and I know exactly what you need to fix that. I'll introduce you to a cool part-time job that you could use in your stories or something.
I have a bad feeling about this. What do you mean a cool part-time job? You're not going to make me do anything illegal, are you?
Don't worry, this is completely legal. You know that I work in the Human Resources Department at my company, right?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty big company as well, right?
Yeah, you see, there's going to be a huge recruitment at my company's subsidiary company next month. I want you to apply.
Huh? But I have no intention of becoming a full-time employee at a company, you know?
I'm not telling you to join E-corporations, I'm telling you to go undercover. I want you to go to that interview as a spy so you can inspect the hiring process.
Inspect the hiring process? Why?
You see, I've received 2 reports from E-corporations telling me that there was something suspicious about the hiring process. There's something suspicious going on with the interviewers, you see? I mean, you just quit your job recently, right? It's going to be really believable if someone like that goes undercover, don't you think? This is perfect timing for you to do this job.
Yeah, but I wonder if I'll be able to do it.
I mean, it's an interesting side job, right? Like I said, you could use it in your comics or something. Besides, you won't need to do anything fancy. Just apply for a job and tell me what goes on in their hiring process. Oh, just make sure that they don't find out you're an inspector, I guess.
Well, I guess that doesn't sound that difficult, and it does sound like an interesting job, to be honest.
Why don't you first listen to the job explanation before making a decision?
I don't know. It sounds like a lot of unnecessary hassle.
If you accept, you're going to make a lot of money easily, you know. I know it's a bit of a strange part-time job, but you really won't have to do that much.
Alright, I'll listen to the explanation first. Hello, Mr. Paolo. This is Ivan, the person in charge of the recruitment interviews at E-corporations. Good morning. Thank you for letting me know I passed the document screening yesterday. Yes, no problem. We're going to be contacting you and the others who passed the document screening mainly by text from now on. Is that alright for you? Yes, I understand. I look forward to working with you. Anyways, I heard that yours was a single-parent household, and that we were raised by your mother growing up. Is this true? Yes, my father passed away when I was in middle school, and I've been living with my mother ever since. Things were a bit rough after Dad passed away, but somehow my mom managed to pay for my tuition all the way until I graduated college. I see. Alright, I understand.
Hi, Sorrow. The first selection round just finished, right? Thanks for your work.
Hello, Aunt Monica.
So, how was the interview process?
Right now it just feels like a regular selection process, but...
Is the interviewer pressuring you or something?
No, he just asked the usual questions. It was all just very standard and professional.
Is there anything in particular that caught your attention?
Let me think.
It's alright if you feel like it's nothing. Just give me anything that comes to your mind.
Oh, yeah, I remember he seemed a bit too interested in my environment growing up as a child.
Your environment growing up as a child? What exactly do you mean by that?
One of the interviewers is a guy named Ivan, right? Do you know him?
Yes, he works at the Human Resources Department at E-Corporations.
He asked me whether I was raised only by my mother by text. And in the actual interview, he asked me again in between two more standard questions. Well, it's true that I do live with my mother, just the two of us, but I don't really understand why he had asked me the same thing over and over. He's probably just concerned whether I would have taken care of her on my own if anything happened to her. Is what I thought during the interview, at least.
Interesting. This might have something to do with the reports I was already given. Did he ask this to the other applicants?
Oh, yeah. He asked similar questions like, do you live on your own? Or are your parents currently healthy? That's why I thought he was only asking me all those questions to find out whether I would suddenly have to take leave just because of a family emergency or something.
I see. So he's more clever than I thought. Just to be clear, Ivan was the one who asked all of these questions.
Yep. All the other interviewers just asked standard interview questions, and Ivan would ask these other questions on top of that. What do you mean by Ivan's more clever than I thought, though? Do you suspect him of plotting something?
Yes, although we don't have any actual proof yet. He's made sure to cover his tracks and make it seem like he's been asking completely reasonable questions during the interview. I suspect that he only asked the other applicants stuff like, do you live on your own, or are your parents currently healthy, to mask his questions about you being raised by your mother. You need to keep going. He's going to slip up at one point or another.
So does that mean I should just contact me and tell me what to do before then, alright?
Got it. I will. Hi, Sorrow. Congratulations on completing the final interview.
Oh, hi, Aunt. Yeah, thanks. You say that like I'm actually applying for a job here.
Yeah, that was the joke. I'll get straight to the point, though. How was it?
Yep, that Ivan guy is suspicious. Just like you told me, he said something that made me think that he was very concerned that I was raised by a single mother. It was something like, are you sure you want to join our company? Because it may be a bit difficult for you to take a leave if your mother falls ill or something. I don't know why he had to tell me specifically that, though. I mean, don't all, well, I guess most of, the other employees have parents as well? I'll just give you the details later via an IC audio recording.
Okay, was there anything else?
Well, to be honest, I myself wondered if I was just imagining things or not, but do you want to hear it?
Of course, tell me. I hired you to tell me everything you noticed during the hiring process, remember?
It's about Ivan again. But there was an opportunity for all the people who passed the preliminary interview and all the interviews to gather and talk to each other. There was this one woman. Whenever Ivan would ask her a question, she would answer with the normal response. But I got the feeling that she was anxious the whole time. I mean, all the other applicants were anxious as well, but she seemed to be on the verge of panicking or something. It looked like she was avoiding his eyes when she was talking to him as well.
I'm guessing you don't happen to know why she was acting like that?
This is all just my personal opinion, and depending on how you look at it or how I tell it to you, it could come across as being very offensive. And I don't even know if it's related, but...
Just tell it to me, Sorrow. Do you remember her name?
I think her name was Anna. Why? Do you think Ivan is targeting beautiful women or something?
Yes. Well, women he finds attractive, to be more precise.
Just to be clear, I have no idea if this has anything to do with the hiring process, alright?
Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter how small you think it is, just tell it to me, because who knows if it could be important. There's always a chance that this whole situation will get solved by an unlikely clue. And just between you and me, I'm pretty sure that this is related to our case. You see, the 2 tips I got from insiders in E Corporation were also women that could be considered beautiful.
I get it. Well, I guess we really do have to investigate every clue, no matter how unlikely, since we don't even have any proof yet.
No need to be impatient, Sorrow. There's also a high possibility that something will happen before they tell you you're hired. So don't let your guard down until I say it's over, okay?
What? Could it be that I'm going to be accepted?
Well, yes.
Wow. So, does this mean that...
Don't worry. We made it so that you being there wouldn't affect the final result. So you didn't make anyone fail the interview or anything, if that's what you're worried about.
Oh, I see. It's fine if that's the case, though.
All right. We've just got a little more to go, so keep working hard. I feel like we're just about to catch him.
Alright, got it. Hello, Mr. Paolo. This is Ivan from E Corporations. Can you talk right now? Oh, hello. Thanks for your work with the interviews. Is there something you wanted to tell me? Well, you see, I told you that you were hired yesterday, right? Yes, thank you for choosing me to join the company. Yes, about that. I'm sorry, but I changed my mind and we're not going to be hiring you after all. Why exactly is that? Don't take this the wrong way. I am truly sorry I have to do this, but it's a rule of our company that we can't hire people who were raised by a single mother. Which is why I'm going to have to revoke your job offer. What? You're not going to hire me because I was raised by a single mother? Yes, I had already confirmed that you were raised by a single mother growing up, but due to some mistakes by the other interviewers, you were accidentally given a pass. I was so close. We were almost fooled because he looked like a regular person on the outside, but in reality, he was raised by a single mother and thus is trash. Is what the other interviewer said. You see, he even went as far as ripping apart your resume. I'm sorry, but this just means that we just don't need someone like you in our company. I see. I hope you have better luck finding a job in the future. Well, goodbye. I'm sorry we raised your hopes only to tell you the truth. It's true that I was raised by a single mother, but... Don't you think it's a bit strange not accepting someone just because of that? That's called a prejudice, you know. Thinking that someone didn't have a good upbringing just because they were raised by a single parent. Are you sure it's all right for someone in your position in charge of the company's human resources? Mr. Paolo, why you... This is what I'm talking about. We're not a charity, you know. You're just a piece of trash whose place is to get judged by others, not judge them yourself. You can't just tell me your opinions like you matter, you know. Alright, then I have a question for you then. Does it mean that it is a requirement for E-corporations that any potential applicant must have been raised by both parents? You mentioned that it was a rule of the company, right? Well, put it simply, yes. I understand, but that's crazy, don't you think? I've never heard of a company that had a rule not allowing people raised by single parents until now. What's crazy about it? It's actually a very common practice, Mr. Paolo. In this day and age, people talk of diversity and equality, and companies have to pretend they support it or else they'll lose customers. But in reality, they couldn't care less and would rather not have to work with such people if possible. Wow, such people, huh? But the woman named Anna I was interviewed with said she was raised by a single mother herself as well. Yet I heard that she just got the job offer. I also heard that the other women who were in a different group as me and who were also raised by single mothers got job offers as well. What? Even if we look at the 2 past recruitments, this imbalance was pointed out to have been too extreme to be an accident. Would you like to explain what the meaning of this is? How do you know all those details? I don't know. Why don't you make a guess? What? Oh, I get it. I see what you're trying to tell me now. Alright, fine. Let's make a deal. A deal? You can pretend I never contacted you about your job offer being canceled. And I'll even make sure you get an above average salary once you join the company. In return, I want you to pretend like you don't know anything about me using Anna's weaknesses to make her do as I say. You know what? I'll even make it better for you. If you keep quiet, I'll let you in on my plan and we can use Anna for our pleasure together. I see. Thank you for the proof that you were doing something illegitimate. Huh? Hold on, Mr. Paolo. I can assure you that making a deal with me here is going to benefit you much, much more than if you hand this information over to whoever you're working for. Please, think about this more carefully. Yeah, no thanks. I'm just doing this as a part-time job, you know? I never actually intended on joining this company, or any other company for that matter. Anyways, I especially appreciate that you told me all of this by text, where it won't disappear. What? Shit. Well, I had to try, you know? Congratulations, you caught me. But could you please tell me one thing before you leave? How did you know? Was it a trap? Well, it's not really that it's a trap. You were already being suspicious of being an unfair interviewer. What? But I made sure that I didn't leave any evidence. Who the hell are you even? You see, I received a request from your parent company to investigate this company's hiring process. I was an undercover inspector. What? You were an inspector from the parent company all this time? But I didn't receive any information about this. I don't see how you could have, because currently only 2 people know what I'm doing here. Well, I guess 3 now that you know as well. You see, before the final interview, I noticed that Anna was acting a bit strange. And so I told the person who hired me to this job about it. They did a bit of investigation themselves, and I got the chance to ask Anna about it herself, which is how we found out about your perverted practices. What did you say? What part of what I'm doing is perverted? All I'm doing is preventing people like you from joining our company. If anything, I should be given a raise for my efforts. First of all, you look down on people who were raised by a single parent, automatically considering them as being in poverty and of being no use to the company. Ivan, based on this ideology of yours, you failed every man like me that was raised by a single parent without exception. Women that were raised by a single mother, on the other hand, you hinted to the ones you found attractive and easy to manipulate that they might be hired, and everyone else you still failed. The ones you did let into this company, however, you used to satisfy your own pleasures, using their weaknesses to make them do whatever you say. You know even that? Your mistake was that you got too greedy after succeeding twice already, and attempting to do it a 3rd time. It looks like you were quite the devil in disguise, Ivan. How do you feel now? By the way, the person from the parent company who hired me has been sitting next to me and reading these texts the whole time. What? Please understand that there's no use trying to make excuses anymore. This can't be happening. To think that I was caught. Is this the end of everything for me? Is my life going to end now? Well, goodbye then. Damn it. After that, a bit more investigation was done on the case. It seems that Ivan wasn't the only interviewer that was using their position as an interviewer to get what they wanted. It was such a scandal that it was decided that everyone in the upper ranks of E-corporations would be fired and replaced. With Ivan, on the other hand, it seems that him abusing his power as an interviewer wasn't the only rule he broke. It was found out that he was also guilty of countless other offenses, and in the end, he ended up having to pay multiple alimonies and damage compensations to multiple people in multiple areas. But in the end, it was decided that he had malicious intent when he did all these things. So he was ultimately just fired as well. Since he couldn't rely on a severance package, he was forced to make money in any way that he could think of. And it seems he became extremely busy day in and day out. He still had to take a huge loan, and now he has to work all day while being in extreme poverty. It seems that every day is extremely painful for him.
Hello, Caroline. Are you there? please reply if you're reading this. I wanted to ask you something. You married my son 2 years ago and came to live with us, but you're still working. Why is that? When are you going to quit that silly job of yours? You're going to be 30 in a few months, you know, right? You also know that my husband runs a company and someone has to take over that company after your husband. I suggest you start getting busy bringing a new member to this family. A male heir who will take over the company one day. Have you even put any thought into having a child? Besides, I sure would like to see a grandson soon. Good morning, Mother. I think I mentioned this numerous times, but the person that will take over as the president of your husband's company will be determined on merit. That's how your husband wants it. He's not going to have a family member just take over because this person is a relative. Well, that's all very virtuous and all, but that's not the real world, Caroline. In reality, my husband's company has been run by 3 generations of this family. It's been handed down from father to son for generations, and our company has profited because of it. Merit alone will not suffice. There is a little thing called tradition, which you seem to be lacking, Caroline. It has already been decided that your husband James will eventually take over as the next company president, and after him his son, my grandson. Yes, well, tradition is all very good and all, but times have changed, Mother. I'm not saying it's wrong. If the person taking over is competent, whether that be James or someone else, I'm all for it. Will you stop contradicting me? You always find a way to refute everything I say. My husband has informed me that you are a very competent and reliable employee, but your competence and this issue are completely different. You are in no position to determine company policy. You're just another employee. I suggest you keep your nose out of it. I think that applies to you more than it does to me, don't you think? Pardon me? The person that will be promoted to that position concerns all the employees, and that person's decisions affect us all. You've never in your life worked at your husband's company. It seems obvious that it's you that has no right to decide who becomes the next company president or any other position. How dare you? How could you say that? I'm this company president's wife, for God's sakes. I certainly do have the right. Yes, I'm quite aware of that, but that makes no difference whatsoever. Makes no difference? Have you lost your mind, Caroline? I'm in possession of all my faculties, thank you. Do you really think that just because you are the president's wife that you can make such an important decision? Well, I have the right to. Just doesn't seem logical to me is all. This is getting nowhere. All you have to do is just stop complaining and work on giving us a grandson so that someday he will be able to take over this company and continue this long-established custom. If you have time to spurt such nonsense, I suggest you use your time more wisely by having a child. Right now, I'm giving my work priority above all, and I've talked long and hard about this with Jim. Pardon me? I know you complain to Jim about this matter all the time, and he gets irritated because you're so bull-headed about it. But could you not take that frustration out on me? I have other things to worry about. Jim said that? I wasn't trying to be difficult or anything. Just so you know, Mother, Jim is sitting right next to me and seeing this entire conversation. What? Are you serious? Why didn't you say so before? You better be ready for a line text from him later on, and it won't be a very pleasant one, I can tell you that. You tricked me into this, didn't you? You had him sit down and witness this conversation. How could you? Even if I denied such an absurd allegation, you wouldn't believe me, so what can I say? This is getting really exasperating, Mother. I really have to go. Goodbye. Caroline, are you seeing this? Answer me! I want you to come home right away and do a little cleaning. The place is a total mess. You married into this family and you live in this house. You have an obligation to do some of the chores. Sorry, Mother, I'm still at work and I have to do some overtime tonight. Got a project to finish up. Sorry. Are you serious? My husband left his position as president to become the chairman, There is not much time left for you to get to work conceiving a child. And why are you still working? There's no need. I want you to resign and stay home and fulfill your role as a wife. Excuse me? You want me to be an obedient little housewife? Is that it? Are you all right, Mother? You know I'm not the type. Like I said, I give my work priority above all. Are you still going on about that? Anyways, Jim did the cleaning as soon as he got home earlier. He just sent me a line saying that he finished. Wait, you're having James clean the house? Don't tell me he's also cooking. Yes, sometimes, anyways. We're not even living together anymore. How could you even know the place is a mess? We both share household chores. When he's busy, I do the cleaning and cooking. That's what we agreed on. I don't need you telling us what to do. Don't tell me you want me to come to your house and clean too. Is that what you're getting at? Is that what a housewife has to do? This sounds like your typical mother-in-law pestering her son's wife kind of scenario, like in some daytime soap opera. We didn't opt to live near you guys just so you would pester us day and night. How could you say that? It's a mother's duty to look after her son and, in extension, his wife. To pass the experiences of being the wife of a company president. I'm sorry, Mother, but before you start with all the same old hot air again, I received permission from Jim to respond however I saw fit. Just so you're aware. Jim gave you permission? And what's this about hot air? Also, I'm going to be pretty busy with this current project, so if you send me any messages that sound like the same old spiel, well, I'm simply not going to respond. Wait, what? So you're just going to ignore me, is that it? Yes, I already got Jim's permission to do it. Jim would never allow such a thing. I better have a talk with him about this nonsense. I really can't have you interfering with my work. We're in a crucial phase now, so I would appreciate your cooperation, Mother. You really know how to anger someone, Caroline. Yeah, well, whatever. How could you just ignore your mother-in-law, for Christ's sake? Always giving your work priority and shunning your responsibilities at home. What kind of a wife are you, anyway? I will make you listen and obey me. Mark my words, Caroline. You'll regret talking to me that way. Mother, have you gone totally nuts? Why did you go into our house without permission? And why did you change the locks? How do you expect us to get in? Are you trying to lock us out of our own home? Do you realize what you're doing, Mother? And besides, where the hell did you get a spare key? I never gave you one, and neither did Jim. I simply took my son's key and had a spare made down at the mall. Hold on a second, Mother. You had a spare made without us knowing? Yes, when he visited us last month, I saw his key case on the kitchen table. And when Jim and my husband were watching that football game, I drove down to the mall and had a spare made. He never knew it was missing. You just went and made a spare key to our house? For what, may I ask? Yes, that's because you two would never give me one. Jim promised he would when you first moved in. If I don't have a spare, how am I supposed to go over there and check the place and see that you're doing your duty properly? Mother, do I really have to explain? Stop right there, Caroline. If you want to enter this house again, I suggest you admit that you were wrong and obey my every demand. I want you to pledge that you will never disobey me, the mother of your husband, the current company chairman. And you mustn't forget that I'm the current president's mother. I want your solemn oath that you will never ever again defy or refuse to obey your mother-in-law. I want your word or you're not entering this house. Wait a second. Did you just say the current president's mother? I'm not sure I understand you. That's right. Why is it so surprising? Just leave company matters to the current president. That would be my son and focus on conceiving a child. You're the president's wife. There's no reason for you to work. Do as I say, Caroline, or there will be consequences. If you're so dedicated to your job, well, you can continue, but that means you'll have to divorce my son. And that's final. Oh, okay. So that's what you want me to do, huh? You want me to just resign from this company? Am I understanding you correctly, Mother? That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Have you finally gotten that through your little head? There are plenty of other employees that can take your place. That's what a company is for. You work, and when your time comes, you retire to raise a family. It's the normal course of things. Simply just resign and focus on bringing us a grandson. That's your role. It's about time you learned that, Caroline. Oh, okay, Mother. That means we'll just have to see the demise of this company, I suppose. You're joking, right? The company won't go under just because one of its employees resigns. You hold yourself in too much regard, my dear. Mother, you never fail to astound me. I really thought you had the company's survival in mind and that you were serious in your concern regarding who would take over as president, but then you tell me that I have to resign, and not for the good of the company, but to have a baby. What are you trying to say, Caroline? My concern for the company and the family are clear-cut and logical. There is nothing irrational or unjustifiable about what I'm saying. Oh, but it is completely irrational in my opinion. Okay, so if you think what I'm saying is so irrational, then explain that to me. Which part of it is it that you find so unreasonable? Like I said, you attach too much importance to yourself. It embarrasses me whenever you applaud yourself, extolling the virtues of your own work all the time. I mean, how arrogant do you have to be to say the company will go bankrupt if you quit? My God, the audacity! Mother, I hate to tell you this, but I'm the new president of the company. Say again? What did you just say? I said, I'm the new president of the company. I recently took over. I'm surprised you didn't know. Stop joking around, Caroline. I'm serious. This is no laughing matter. This concerns the future of our family. The next president has already been determined, ever since he was born, as a matter of fact. How could he give that position to you, please? Then why don't you ask your husband or contact Jim right now and ask him? They will both tell you the same thing. Or you could even call the office and every employee there will tell you the same thing. This is some kind of prank, right? And what about James? What's James going to do? If he's not president, is he just a regular employee? That can't be. Jim's set to resign by the end of next month. Again, I'm surprised you didn't know. Resign? You're saying he's going to quit the company? Yes, he says he has other objectives, so for now he'll work freelance and see how things go. Freelance? Meaning he's not even going to be employed by a company? Yes, for a while, I guess, after which he says he will eventually start his own company. Start his own company? But why can't he just take over this company? Why would he start his own? Don't tell me you don't even know about that. I thought for sure you would know that. I didn't realize there was such a lack of communication in your family. Jim said that when he went to visit last time, he brought it up several times. He did? I never... He told me that your husband and Jim discussed this possibly years ago. Jim wanted his advice. After all, your husband built his company from scratch. Who better to get advice from, right? Huh? Really? And this was all before Jim and I got married. Neither my husband nor Jim mentioned anything. Oh, and as a side note, as for being selected as president of the company, both Jim and his father were explicit in their decision that I keep my business matters separate from my personal ones, meaning even if I became president, it would not affect our personal lives. And this decision does not mean that because Jim was not selected as president that I stole it from him. Please don't get that idea. Why wasn't I told about this? This is important. My husband nor Jim gave any clue as to what was going on. Caroline, answer me right this second. Why is my husband divorcing me? What did I do that was so wrong? Ever since you arrived, this family has gone totally haywire. You ruined our family, Caroline. And why did Jim throw away the opportunity to become the president of his own family business? And now he's a freelancer? Why? And my husband, he didn't lift a finger to stop him. As a matter of fact, he encouraged him to quit and become a freelancer. What has gotten into everyone? You put a jinx on this family, Caroline. But the worst was yet to come. They appointed you as the next president of our company? How did you manage to dupe everyone? And now my husband wants a divorce? This is like some nightmare. Well, for one thing, you came barging into the offices of our company announcing to everyone of your status as the president's wife, screaming and demanding that your son be appointed president and that after him, our non-existent son, your grandson, be in line to take over after him. That didn't go over too well, especially with your husband. He was humiliated in front of all of his employees. Well, I only did that to protect our... If that security guard hadn't stopped you, you were going to come barging into my office and make a scene. Weren't you? But your actions were futile. A complete waste of time. Did you really think that you would be able to change policy or any decision the company makes? You have zero authority to make such demands. But I'm the president's wife! It doesn't matter, Mother. I'm sure your husband told you many times about his frustration with the old traditions. That generation after generation you select a family member as president. It just didn't sit right with him. He wanted a more merit-based system. He believed a more equal and fair playing field would allow the company to grow beyond its wildest dreams, instead of clinging to old traditions. No, he never meant those things. He was always a family man, always followed tradition. Please, Caroline, talk to my husband and ask him to rescind this silly divorce. He doesn't need to do this. I'll change. Please convince him. I really can't do that, Mother. It's really not my concern. Why? Why can't you at least do this little favor for me? Please, Mother, work it out yourself. I have nothing whatsoever to do with your marriage. It's kind of late. I have to get some sleep. Goodbye. Please, Caroline, help me. Okay, I'll give you my blessing. How's that? I give you my blessing that you become the next president. Will you then help me in return? And about who will take over after you, well, I'll leave that up to you and James. You two can make that final decision. I won't interfere at all. What do you say, Caroline? Please? Please convince my husband to think it over. Please? Caroline, are you still there? Please don't cut me off. Please, Caroline, I need your help. Actually, my father-in-law told her that he was considering me as the next president, but she just wouldn't listen. Her mind just seemed to shut down whenever he brought up the subject. She couldn't accept the fact. The only thing that was on her mind was that her son was destined to become the next president, and that the wife would have to stay at home and have babies. Eventually, I was appointed as the next president, but that fact never entered my mother-in-law's mind in the slightest. Her son was the only person in the world that would be appointed, and that was that. There was no convincing her. She was so programmed by her self-delusions, a form of self-hypnosis if you ask me. It was probably in that state of mind that made her barge into the office and cause the embarrassing scene in front of all those employees. My father-in-law was so infuriated by the incident that he began to question why he was even married to her, which eventually led him to file for divorce. After the divorce went through, she received a comfortable settlement and returned to her grandparents' home back east. But her spendthrift ways as the president's wife never really waned, and her savings quickly diminished. Her grandparents were worried that she would next target their meager savings and pension, and quickly cut ties with her. I heard she was living all alone in some beat-up apartment downtown doing various part-time jobs to make ends meet.